On the morning of September 19, 2025, a massive magnitude 7.8 earthquake struck off the coast of Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula. At 6:58 a.m. local time, the ground shook violently, jolting residents awake and sending shock waves of concern across the Pacific. The epicenter was about 127 kilometers east of Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky, at a shallow depth, making the quake especially intense on land. Shallow quakes like this can displace huge volumes of water, raising immediate fears of a tsunami. As buildings swayed and furniture rattled, the urgent question became, had this undersea quake triggered a tsunami that could threaten coastlines far beyond Russia? All eyes turned to tsunami warning centers for answers. Within minutes, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center in Hawaii analyzed seismic data from the quake. Their rapid assessment determined that despite the quake's strength, there was no significant tsunami threat for Hawaii, the Americas, Australia, or most Pacific islands. Relief swept across the region as the PTWC's bulletin prevented panic and unnecessary evacuations. The science was clear. The quake's movement was mostly horizontal, not the vertical thrust needed to generate a massive tsunami. Thanks to advanced monitoring, millions received accurate information quickly, showcasing how far tsunami science and warning systems have come. When a real threat emerges, these systems ensure warnings are trusted and lives are saved. While most of the Pacific was safe, areas near the epicenter faced a different reality. Tsunami advisories were issued for Kamchatka's eastern shore, parts of Alaska's Aleutian Islands, and briefly, the Kuril Islands. A tsunami warning means evacuate immediately. An advisory urges people to stay away from beaches and harbors due to dangerous currents. In Kamchatka, small tsunami waves, about 30 to 62 centimeters high, were observed, enough to threaten swimmers and boats but not cause major flooding. After a few hours, as sea levels stabilized, all warnings were lifted. The system worked targeted alerts, careful monitoring, and a swift return to normal. It was a textbook example of effective risk management. The main quake was only the beginning for Kamchatka. A series of aftershocks, some as strong as magnitude 5.8, rattled nerves and kept emergency services on high alert. Inspection teams checked buildings and infrastructure for damage, but no major injuries or destruction were reported. The quake's offshore location and Kamchatka's sparse population helped minimize harm. Residents shared dramatic videos online, swinging lights, sliding furniture, and the unmistakable sound of a powerful tremor. While physical damage was limited, the psychological impact was real, reinforcing the need for preparedness in this volatile region. For Kamchatka, it was another reminder of nature's unpredictable power. Kamchatka is one of the world's most seismically active regions, perched on the volatile edge of the Pacific Ring of Fire. This remote peninsula in Russia's Far East is a place where the Earth is constantly in motion, and the landscape is shaped by forces deep beneath the surface. Here, the ground rumbles with regularity, and the people who call Kamchatka home have grown accustomed to living with the ever-present possibility of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. The reason for this restless energy lies far below. The Pacific Plate grinds relentlessly beneath the Okhotsk Plate, a process known as subduction. Over time, immense geological strain builds up along these fault lines, only to be released in sudden, powerful bursts, earthquakes that can shake the land for miles, and volcanic eruptions that send ash and lava skyward. Kamchatka is home to more than 300 volcanoes, 29 of which are active, making it one of the most volcanically dynamic places on Earth. In the week before the devastating 7.8 magnitude quake, the region had already experienced two other major earthquakes, each registering above magnitude 7. These weren't isolated incidents, but part of a pattern that scientists call earthquake clustering, a phenomenon where one significant quake can trigger others in quick succession, increasing the risk for communities living nearby. This clustering is typical in active subduction zones around the world, where the movement of tectonic plates creates a chain reaction of seismic activity. Scientists closely monitor these regions, using advanced technology to track tremors and predict where the next big event might occur. The Pacific Ring of Fire, which encircles much of the Pacific Ocean, is notorious for producing some of the world's most powerful earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Kamchatka's dramatic landscape, Its towering volcanoes, rugged coastlines, and wild, untamed terrain bears the unmistakable marks of this ongoing tectonic battle. The land here is constantly being reshaped by the forces of nature, creating a breathtaking but sometimes dangerous environment. Rivers of lava have carved new valleys, while ash from eruptions fertilizes the soil, supporting unique ecosystems found nowhere else on Earth. Most of Kamchatka's 300,000 residents live in the south, in towns and cities shaped by generations of adapting to earthquakes and eruptions. Life here requires resilience and a deep understanding of the land's moods. Buildings are constructed to withstand tremors, and families pass down stories of past disasters, teaching each new generation how to stay safe when the ground begins to shake. For the people of Kamchatka, respect for nature and readiness to respond to official warnings is woven into daily life. Community drills, emergency broadcasts, and preparedness kits are all part of a culture that values vigilance and cooperation. When an alert sounds, everyone knows their role, whether it's gathering supplies, checking on neighbors, or heading to designated safe zones. Living in Kamchatka means always being prepared for the next big shake. It's a way of life that demands respect for the Earth's power and a constant readiness to adapt, qualities that have helped this community endure and even thrive in one of the planet's most dynamic and unpredictable landscapes. Kamchatka's landscape is a testament to the power of tectonics, with over 160 volcanoes, 29 still active, dotting the peninsula. The same subduction zone that fuels these volcanoes also produces frequent, sometimes massive earthquakes. The 1952 magnitude 9.0 quake off Kamchatka generated a devastating tsunami, a stark reminder of the region's potential for disaster. Scientists study Kamchatka closely, using it as a natural laboratory to understand megathrust earthquakes and tsunamis. Each new quake is part of a much larger geological story, millions of years in the making. For locals, seismic risk is a constant factor, shaping everything from building codes to emergency drills. The land's beauty and danger are inseparable. In a move that surprised many, the U.S. Geological Survey officially classified the September 19th earthquake as a massive aftershock, rather than a main shock. This distinction is more than just a technicality. It shapes how scientists, emergency responders, and the public understand the ongoing seismic threat in the region. The term aftershock might sound less severe, but in reality, aftershocks can be nearly as destructive as the original event, especially when they reach such high magnitudes. The reason for this classification lies in the fact that the September quake followed an even larger seismic event, a staggering magnitude 8.8 earthquake that struck in July 2025, just 2 months earlier. That July quake was one of the most powerful ever recorded in the region, leaving a trail of devastation and fundamentally changing the landscape. The July earthquake unleashed an immense amount of energy, sending shockwaves through the Earth's crust and triggering a Pacific-wide tsunami. The force of the quake and the resulting tsunami dramatically altered the region's coastline, submerging some areas and raising others, while also shifting the underlying tectonic plates. Aftershocks are earthquakes that occur in the same general area as the main shock, as the Earth's crust continues to adjust to the massive changes caused by the initial rupture. These aftershocks can persist for months or even years, and their size and frequency depend on the magnitude of the main event. The September 7th 8 event struck on a nearby fault segment, which had been set in motion by the enormous stress released during the July rupture. This is a classic example of how one major earthquake can destabilize surrounding faults, leading to a cascade of powerful aftershocks. This ongoing sequence of seismic activity highlights not only the immense power of the original main shock, but also the persistent and unpredictable nature of earthquakes in the Kamchatka region. The area remains one of the most seismically volatile on the planet, with communities constantly preparing for the next big event. The story of the July megathrust quake and the powerful aftershocks that followed is far from over. For the people of Kamchatka, the ground beneath their feet remains restless, and the lessons from these events continue to shape their lives and their future. The Kamchatka quake is a wake-up call for anyone living near the coast, anywhere in the world. Tsunamis are not just a distant threat. They can strike with little warning, and their impact can be devastating. Whether you live by the Pacific, Atlantic, Indian Ocean, or even near large lakes, understanding your risk is the first step to staying safe. Start by finding out if your home, workplace, or school is located in a tsunami evacuation zone. Many local emergency management agencies provide detailed maps and resources, both online and in print, to help you identify these areas. Take a few minutes to look up your address and see if you're at risk. If you're unsure, reach out to your local authorities. They're there to help you prepare. If you discover you are in a tsunami zone, it's crucial to know your fastest route to high ground or inland. Walk the route with your family or coworkers so everyone knows where to go. Remember, roads may be blocked or crowded during an emergency, so plan at least 2 alternate paths. Practice your evacuation plan regularly and make sure everyone, including children and elderly family members, understands what to do. Learn to recognize the natural warning signs of a tsunami. A strong or long earthquake, sudden and unusual changes in sea level, like the ocean quickly receding, or a loud roaring sound from the water, are all urgent signals. These signs can appear before any official warning is issued, so trust your instincts and act quickly if you notice them. If you experience any of these warning signs, don't wait for an official alert or siren. Evacuate immediately to higher ground or as far inland as possible. Seconds count, and your quick response can make all the difference. Encourage others around you to leave as well. Sometimes people hesitate, but your actions could help save lives. Tsunamis can arrive within minutes after an earthquake, especially if you're close to the epicenter. That's why it's so important to be prepared and to act without delay. Participate in local tsunami drills if they're available, and keep emergency supplies ready to grab and go. Always move inland and uphill, away from the coast, and don't return until authorities have officially declared the area safe. Even after the first wave, additional waves can follow, sometimes hours later. Remember, those first few minutes of awareness and action can save your life and the lives of those you care about. Stay informed, stay prepared, and always respect the power of nature. Preparedness goes beyond knowing your evacuation route. It means having a plan and supplies ready. Every household in a tsunami zone should keep a go bag with essentials: food, water, flashlight, radio, first aid kit, important documents, and some cash. Plan with your family. Set meeting points, share contact info, and make sure everyone knows the evacuation route. Practice your plan at least once a year so it becomes second nature. In a real emergency, a ready kit and a clear plan can make all the difference. The Kamchatka earthquake was a natural drill. Use it as motivation to get prepared now. When disaster strikes, preparation is your best protection.